Tim.
And Doug.
With our first monthly melt on chocolate covered games, where we'll talk about some news, talk about a Kickstarter you should take a look at, a review of a game that we played, and something a little off topic. First up, I like to cover a news story that just happened yesterday that was released. The people over at Critical Role have launched Darrington Press to handle tabletop games that they want to release. Looks like they're going to be releasing one a quarter. They've announced 4 already. They haven't really given any names or description, but they said that they will have 1 per quarter coming up in 2021. And with the following, I think they have a good chance of being fairly popular in the industry.
So they're going to put out a game a quarter.
Game a quarter. So
that should be interesting. The news story I have for this month came out actually at the beginning of October. Renegade Game Studios is working with Hasbro Inc. to expand the line of IP games to include some G.I. Joe games, My Little Pony, Transformers, and Power Rangers. And these looks like will be role-playing games and deck builders. G.I. Joe hasn't had anything since 2009, when there was a Monopoly and a Battleship. My Little Pony and Transformers each had collectible card games. So I'm excited to see where Renegade will take this, especially because I like deck builders.
A lot of big IPs that Renegade's got the right to use now.
And that's the news for this month. So for Kickstarter this month, the game I think you should look at actually ends on October 31st, the day that this is coming out. And it is Unforgiven, the Lincoln Assassination Trial. And it's designed by Tom Butler, who did the Pirate Republic, which we got to play test for him. Unforgiven is a 2-player push-pull style game based on the Lincoln Assassination Trial, dealing with Mary Stuart. From all the reviews that I've watched and everything, a lot of people are saying it has the Seven Wonders duel vibe. But just being a 2-player game and being a history buff, I'm really excited for it.
And we tend to play a lot of 2-player games, so that should be very fun to play. My Kickstarter this month, I feel you should take a closer look at, is called Shards of the Jaguar. I chose this game because it reminds me of a game that both you and I love to play called Karuba. It has that whole maneuvering to find gems, but unlike Karuba, everybody shares one board, and you go around this dungeon jungle area and gather the gems, but you also get to play as the board itself to set up traps that your other players may fall into. It's a little heavier than Karuba looks like, which I like. I think it's one step up. It's a really fun little game that has a little take that element to it, which I always enjoy, a game where you can mess with the other people around you. That has funded. It will go off of Kickstarter on November 12th, so there's still some time to back it after this video is posted. And I believe it's a game everybody should take a look at.
And those are 2 Kickstarters that we think you should look at for the month of October. So, a game that we played this past month is the Perry Mason game, and I'll let Tim talk about that.
This past month, we had a chance to play the 1987 version of the Perry Mason game. It's a very Clue-like game where you have cards which have the guilty person and statements on like weapons. And you take 3 out, you put them in a little envelope, and that will determine who the guilty party is. You go around the very interesting board where you get to move the people either onto the bench, where that's what it's called. You move them on. That's the bench. You can move them onto the bench to be questioned, or you can call for a player to be put into the judge's chamber, where you can get the information secretly. For a 1987 game, I thought it was very innovative because it has a very replayability with multiple cases. The victim or the guilty person in this case, always changes based on the cards that are pulled out of the game. The only mechanic I think really failed is end of game mechanic, where the only way to put the person who is guilty is to have them on trial at the time while it's your turn. We could have easily ended the game 15 minutes early, would you say?
Yeah.
Except there's a whole take the person off the bench until it's your turn kind of mechanic. So it's just
Well,
hoping.
you got to hope then that when it comes to you that you're able to put them onto the bench,
Yeah.
and then somebody else doesn't take them off before it gets back to you.
Other than that, I thought it was a decent game for what it was. If you have it or know somebody that has it, maybe give it another play. We got it very cheap at
The flea market.
Flea market. I don't know if I recommended paying more than
$5.
$5 for it. There's better games nowadays that do the mechanics that are in it, but I thought it was a decent game. Any other add-ons you would like to add that I might have missed?
No, I think you pretty much got it all.
Huh?
And that is a game that we played this past month of October.
It does sound like somebody's opening a door. Lastly, we like to cover a topic that's not board game related, and this month I have chose to go with sports. My favorite NHL team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, have won the Stanley Cup, and my brother is a huge sports fan. And this season, most teams, well, most leagues in general, have not been able to have fans. A couple have been granted fans, like NFL has restrictions of fans. The World Series has minimum fans, but in general, fans weren't allowed this season. What are your thoughts about no fans in stands?
I think as long as it helps it to get fans back in the stands completely in the future, do whatever it takes. It's a bummer for some sports, especially live where you feed off the crowd. On TV, though, I think they've done a great job of the production. The NHL did a great job with the Stanley Cup Finals. Major League Baseball, the World Series just ended last night. They had fans. I enjoyed the cardboard cutouts and seeing those that were in the stands.
I will say the thing I think that the fans really missed out this season with not having being able to be there are certain players or people in production that are leaving the sport, like Jimmy Johnson's last season, correct?
Jimmy Johnson and Clint Boyer.
Oh.
Doc Emmerich just announced his retirement.
We had the unfortunate passing of Kobe this season, so fans weren't really able to be there in any supportive factor. I mean, they came outside the Staples Center to show their mourning, but that's the community of sports where you can celebrate careers and people. It's very different when you're celebrating somebody's final hurrah with no one there. So, I think that's the biggest thing that I missed about fans in the crowd. And with that, that was our first monthly melt.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Said I do all the talking. You just kept going on and on.
You did do the. I don't know if I should say. If you would like to suggest an off-topic, please email us at the link shown on the screen now.
You could.
That's redoing that whole thing just for that.
Yeah. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
Yeah.